Hey guys, welcome back to Robotics. So this week we're going to keep going with our RGB LED. This right here is an update. We wanted to display all the colors of the rainbow through the RGB LED, and then we use the analog write in order to get all the different shades within the red, green, and blue to create a mixture that would then create these colors. And so one update was that we incorrectly used pin number 4, I believe, because in 4 does not have a tilde or is not a PWM pin, meaning that the analog write command would not work for that. So we had to correct that. So now instead of using pins 3, 4, and 5, we're using 3, 5, and 6. So that is one update from the last video. And here's my working code. So I have red, this combination, orange here, yellow here, green, blue, and indigo, and then violet here, the last one here. So the code is working. One thing that we hinted toward hinted at the last session we met at was, how do we get it to fade between colors? So let's go ahead and do the one from red to orange. Okay, so right now what we see is that it goes from red and it stays red for a second and then immediately goes to orange. So what we want to do is we actually want to transition it though, so it slowly fades. And so how do we do that? Well, first let me comment out the rest of this so it just goes red orange. That way it's going to be easier for us to see what's going on. Okay, so I'm going to upload this. There you go. Okay, so now you can see it's just red, orange, red, orange. All right. So now how do we do a transition? Well, in order to transition, we need to look and see, well, which light is the one that changes. See, green goes from 0 to 20, so that's there. And then red goes from 255 to 255. Okay, so red doesn't change, blue doesn't change. It's just the green, right? And so instead of going from 0 immediate to 20, what we want to do is slowly go from 0 and go up by 1 all the way to 20. And so what we mean is that it's going to go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way to 20. So the way we're going to do that is using something called a while loop. Now, while loops are the first type of loop I like to introduce in coding because it makes sense when you just speak it out, when you talk about it. So this is what we'll do, and you'll see us. All right. So we were going to say while something. And first, let me also comment out the delay. I'm going to make a variable called intensity, okay? While intensity equals 0. We're going to start it at 0, okay? And we're going to say while intensity is less than 21, do something. Okay. So the way that this loop works is that while intensity is less than 21, do this stuff. So whatever code we put in between this bracket and this bracket is going to keep running while intensity is less than 21. And so because the code in there keeps looping, we can put our analog write commands here. Analog write green, and we're going to use intensity. So before we would actually put a number right here, right? But what we want to do is use intensity, the variable. And the reason we want to do that is because the variable value, remember we said the variable is just like a box, right? So the variable is always the box, but the value is the stuff that's inside the box, right? So the stuff inside the box can change. Now what do we want to change it to? We want to make sure it changes each time. And remember the goal, we want it to, and I'll write here as a comment, like inside this loop, we want it to go from 0, 1, 2, blah, 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 all the way to 20, right? Because we know that the green eventually ends up at 20. So how do we do that? Well, we know that I said intensity equals 0, right? So right at the beginning of it, we set it at 0. And so what's going to happen is it's going to say, while intensity is less than 21, well, is 0 less than 21? Yes, it is. So then it's going to do this, and then it's going to say analog right green 0, because intensity is 0. And then what we want to do is intensity equals intensity plus 1. So we're going to add 1 to intensity. And at that point, intensity will be equal to 1. Okay? And then it's just going to keep looping here. And it's going to say if intensity is 1 less than 21, yes. And it's going to keep going, keep going. And it's going to keep adding 1 until it gets to 20. And then at that point, if once intensity is 20, it will stop going through this loop. Okay, so you need to think about that a little bit. Why is it that once you get when intensity equals 20, why is that the last time that line 29 runs? Okay, I want you to think about that a little bit, and then I'll tell you the answer. So the reason why is that let's say intensity is equal to 20, so let's start at line 27. Is 20 less than 21? Yes. If that's true, then it will do this line. And so at this point, it'll say analog right green 20. And then it'll say intensity equals intensity plus 1. So the intensity will become 21 at that time. Okay? And then it's going to go back and loop again, because that's what it does in the while loop. And then it's going to say, is 21 less than 21? No, it's not. 21 is not less than 21. 21 is equal to 21, right? So then if this is not true, it's going to be like, I'm done. I'm not going to do this anymore. And then jump down to here. Okay? So that's how we work that out. And so it looks like we have our while loop set up correctly here. It's going to go from 0, just keep looping here on just keep looping in these on these two lines until it gets to 20, and then it'll jump to here. All right, let's try this out. And what should happen is that we should see a nice fade between red and orange. Okay. Uploading. Oh, and I always do this. Right now you just see it's orange. It's not even, I don't even see the red. And what's the case, or why is that the case? I forgot the delay, right? So we want to say, we want a delay between each intensity. So we are counting from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 all the way to 20, but we're not giving it any delays, so we can't really see it with our eyes. So we want to be like, go to intensity 1, chill out a little bit, then go to 2, chill out a little bit, so that we can actually see what's going on. So I'm going to say a delay 30. I think that should be good. So in between each intensity, we're going to delay 30, okay? Nice. So it's actually changing now. I'm going to go slow it down a little bit. I'm going to go 50. Pretty cool. So I'm seeing the fade there. Now, hold on, we gotta update that. That was still at 30. There we go. Now I slowed it down a little bit. All right. So let's go ahead and do another one. So this while loop helps us fade from red to orange, right? I'm gonna go ahead and copy this, okay? And now the next one is we want to go from orange to yellow. So I'm gonna comment out the stuff below again. Orange to yellow. So what I need to do right now is decide, all right, figure out what's changing here. Well, red and red, they're both at 250. So orange to yellow, the red doesn't change, so we don't have to worry about that. What about green? Green goes from 20 to 100. Well, 20 to 100, we do want, there is a change there, and then blue is 0 to 0. So blue doesn't change. Okay, so what we're gonna do is go ahead and paste in that code again, and first thing we need to say just intensity equals 0. The reason you don't need this int anymore is because you already put the int up here. You only need to do it one time. Okay, so there we go. Int intensity equals 0. So let's go back here. So what we're going to do is set intensity to 0, and then I'm going to take this comment. Now comments are good because it helps us keep track of what we're trying to do. And I'll get rid of this one. I think we know how the while loop works now. All right, so we need to modify this to work. So looking at the comment, let's write here in the comment like what we want this while loop to do. Well, we want the green's going to start at 20, right? And then we want it to end at 100. Okay, so that means I should write it here so we don't get confused. Go from 20 to 21 ... to 100. Right? So we have that comment there, so then we can not get confused, and we want to say, all right, so intensity then, before it started at 0, do we want it to start at 0? No, we actually want to start at 20 this time, right? Okay, and then we want to keep going. So this part is fine. It's going to keep adding and keep going, except we need to change this now. We don't want to stop when it's less than 21, because we want to keep going till it's 100. And so we got to think, all right, so we want the intensity to be 100, that to be the last command, and then it stops. So we need 101. All right, now how does that work? Well, we can just test it. You know, we can say, okay, well, if intensity is 100, then what happens is it's going to do analog write 100, and then intensity is going to become 101, and then it's going to go back to the while part, and it says, is 101 less than 101? No. And then it's going to jump out of it and then go to the next line here. Okay, and so this should work. So now it should go from red to orange to yellow. Okay, all right, let's try this out. I'll comment out the delays here too, because I took it out here. So I'll just take out the long delays. All right, upload. Should we go red to orange to yellow? Red, orange, yellow. Red, orange. orange, yellow. Nice. Okay, let's try another one. We want to go green now, so it's gonna switch it up. So I'm gonna uncomment out that stuff. Okay, so if we want it to be green, again, now we just have to check and see, all right, what's changing? Well, red is changing from 255 to 0, so we definitely need to do that. And then green is going from 100 to 255. Blue does not change. So what's going on here is that we actually need to change two values this time. So that's interesting. I wonder how we should do that. Let's see. Well, I'm gonna copy this stuff because our code's gonna look something like this, right? And I'll put the first one here. All right, so let's first do the red one. So I'm gonna put in my comment, red go from 255 to 254 dot dot dot, and then where does red end? Oh, we gotta go down to 0. To 0. All right, so this is already a little bit different because before we were going up, like getting bigger, but now we're going from 255 down to 0, so we're going smaller. So this is good. We're trying this out. All right, so what's the initial value? The initial is 255. Okay, so intensity be 255 now. And now we need to flip some stuff around. Okay, so the first thing is I want to change my analog right, because we're not talking about the green light right now, right? We're talking about the red light. Okay, so let's change that. And then intensity, we're not adding one now, we're subtracting one because we're going from 255 down all the way to 0. All right, so we changed that. Now this part right here, this part needs to change. So instead of less than, because we're going the other way, we're going from like a high number to a low number, we need to also flip this part. Intensity is greater than, I think it should be 0. I think it's close, but not quite right. All right, so these are called like the ending conditions. Okay, so it might get a little bit tricky. Like, is it greater than 0? Is it greater than -1? Is it greater than 1? The easiest thing to do here is to kind of test it out. Okay, so it's going to start at 255, right? And then it's going to do this stuff, and it's going to subtract 1. So then it'll become 254. And then go back here. It's 254 greater than 0. Yes, it is. And it'll just keep going. Okay. Now the last one that we want to process is 0. So let's say if intensity, is 1. Okay, because we're like getting close to the very end. So if intensity is 1, it's gonna say analog red 1, then intensity is going to become 0 because you subtract 1 from 1, and then you go back to the while loop, while condition. It says, is 0 greater than 0? No, it's not. 0 is equal to 0, so it's not going to, it's going to say it's not equal to it, and then it's going to jump out. So it's not going to do analog red 0. It's not going to reach that because 0 is not greater than 0. So you fix that by saying while intensity is greater than equal to 0, so greater than or equal to 0. All right, and then that will make sure that we get that 0 in there. Okay, So that part can be a little bit tricky, so you got to kind of think through, okay, at the very end, am I getting the right commands in? Okay, so that should be good. Now that's the red one. Let's look at the green one. So the green one now needs to go from 100 to 255. Okay, so I'm gonna copy this. And now I'm gonna say this is the green one. And then let's write a comment. Green goes from 100 to 255. 100 to 101 dot all the way to 255. Okay, so hopefully you guys see the pattern of what we're doing here. So let's go ahead and make our changes. So the intensity equals, we need to set it to the first one. So it needs to start at 100, right? So we're going to do that. And then we want to say intensity, now it's getting bigger, right? 100, 101, blah, 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 to 255. So it should be plus here again. Okay? Should be plus there. And then since it's plus, we need to change this. So I'm just gonna put it in here. Intensity is gonna keep adding, right? So we wanna keep going while it's less than a certain number. When it gets to a certain number, we want it to jump out of there and stop doing the analog right. So the way we wanna look at it is like, okay, we wanna get to 255. So basically you want to say, I'm going to keep looping as long as it's less than 256. Okay, and this is similar to some of the other ones that we've done. All right, so we have 256. Now, which one are we going? We're not doing red here, we're doing green. Okay. There we go. So we get to 250, green will be at 255. All right, so now they should fade all the way through to green. We should end on green. Let's see. See that? Now, if you notice, why is the whole transition to green take so long? Like something to think about, right? Oh, see, now it went back to red. So it goes red, orange, yellow, and then now it's going to green, but the green takes like a really, really long time. All right, so what's up with that? Well, the reason why is if we look here, look at this. We have two loops, right? Because we need to change the red and the green light, and because of that, it's like extra time. So that's why the green one is taking so long. And let me adjust the light here so maybe you can see the colors better. Okay, I just shut off the lights here so you can't really see anything except for this light, but at least you can see what's going on here. So you can see that the green one is just kind of like doing this green transition forever. Still doing it, and then it finally goes like this red color and then to orange. So what I would do is like, well, I think the green is taking so long compared to the other ones, and again, the reason is because like there's two while loops here. This one you're going from 255 all the way to 0, and then this one you're going from 100 to 255, which also will take a while. So maybe I just reduce it for the green transition, like 10 delay instead, to kind of even it out. So I'm going to make the green transition a little bit faster. Okay, so you can play with that because you kind of want the colors to change at the similar rate. So it's red, orange, yellow, going to green, and then I'd want it to go back to red now. Okay, so that's pretty good. Yellow going to green, and then so yeah, so that delay works pretty well. So 10 for the green ones, and then using delay 50 for the others. Okay, so that's, I'm gonna leave it at that. So then the challenge here, I've gone ahead and done the first few colors. So go ahead and we want to fade between all the rainbow colors. So if you do that, then that will give you an opportunity to get pretty comfortable with these with the while loops that we have here. And so that should be a good challenge this week. All right, so then once you guys have that, we want to fade between all the rainbow colors. Let's just add in a few other challenges here. Why don't you go into the so create, the number 3 would be create colors of the rainbow and fade between. So let me just put it this way. So what I want it to do is I want to do sudden change, then fade, and then repeat. Okay, so what I mean by that is that your program will actually first do the sudden change ones where it's like red and then all of a sudden orange and all of a sudden yellow, blah blah blah, like that. And then after that cycles through, then it'll start doing the fade ones where it fades between red and orange, fades between orange and yellow, and then so forth. And then after that, it goes back to the sudden change style. All right, so that would be combining the two codes that you guys have been working on these past couple weeks. All right, that's the challenge for this week. Coming up, we're gonna start experimenting with buttons and code, and then after that, we'll be able to start putting in movements and sounds into our robot projects as well. All right, that's all we've got for today. Have fun, and we will talk soon.